各位记者朋友，我们的记者会马上开始。我再次提醒一下，今晚的记者会全程是同传、同声传译。1频道是中文，2频道是英语，第3频道是法文。请大家把手机设置为静音或者关闭状态。谢谢大家的合作。
Yes, I think so. Well, it's not quite that.
各位记者朋友，晚上好。
Friends from the
本
media,
次中
good
非合作
evening.
论坛峰会活动丰富、
The summit
亮
of the
点纷
China
呈，相
Africa
信
Summit
大家
is
对
rich
今晚
in
的记者会
substance
都充满
and
期
in
待。
activities.
我
I
们有幸邀
believe
请
that you're
到
all
了
looking
中
forward
共
to
中
the press
央政治
conference this
局
evening.
常
We
委
are happy
员、
to have
外交部长
Mr.
王
Wang
毅
Yi,
中非合作
Director
论坛
of the Central
非
Foreign
方共
Affairs
同主
Commission
持国
Office
塞内
and
加尔外
Foreign
长法
Minister,
勒女士和
Yassine
下
Fang, Foreign
届
Minister
非
of the
方共
Republic
同
of
主持国
Senegal,
刚果
and
共和国外长
Jean-Claude
加科索
Gakoso, Foreign Minister of the
同各
Republic
国
of the
记者
Congo, the
会见面
next
并介
Chinese
绍有
co-chair
关
of
情况。
FOCAC. He will
3 位
brief
外
you
长呢，
about the
在
summit and
致
take
辞
your
之后呢，
questions.
还将回答大家的提问。首先，请让我们以热
First
烈
of
掌
all,
声欢
let's
迎王毅外
welcome
长致辞。
Mr. Wang Yi for his remarks with a round applause.
各位记者朋友，大家好。
Friends from the media,
很高兴
good
这
evening.
次同各
It's
位
good
见面。
to meet you all again.
今天上午，中非合作论
This
坛
morning,
北京峰会
we
盛大开幕。
witnessed the grand opening of the Beijing summit of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation. The big China-Africa family is gathering in Beijing once again after 6 years. This is a grand event with great significance and far-reaching impact. President Xi Jinping attended
非
the
洲
opening
所
ceremony
有
and delivered a keynote
53个
address.
建交国的
The summit is also attended by the leaders of
和非盟委员会
all
主席
the 53 African countries with
联合
diplomatic
国秘书
relations
长
with China,
以及
chairperson of
30
the
多
African
个
Union
国际
Commission,
和
Secretary
非
General
洲
of the United
地区的
Nations,
组织
and
代表。
representatives of more than 30 international organizations and African
峰
sub-regional
会期间，
organizations.
中非双方
Under the
围
theme
绕携
of
手
joining
推进
hands
现
to
代化
advance modernization
共
and
筑
build
高
a
水
high-level
平
China-Africa
中非命运
community with a
这
shared
一主
future,
题，
the two sides
回顾总结了
took
中
stock
非友好
of the
历史，
journey of China-Africa
高度
friendship,
评价论
commended
坛
the
成果，
progress made in
落实进展，
implementing the
就
outcomes
加
of
强
FOCAC
中非
and reached
全
clearly
方位合作，
a political
达成明确
consensus
政治
on
共识。
strengthening cooperation
一致通过
across the
了
board.
北京宣言
Two important documents,
和
namely the
北
Beijing
京行动计
Declaration
划
and the Beijing Action
两
Plan,
份重要文件，
have been adopted unanimously.
各方一致认为，
All
峰会
parties
取得
agree
了圆满
that
成
the
功。
summit is a full
主
success.
要成果
Let
体
me
现在
highlight
4个方面：
4 key outcomes.
一是中国
First,
同非洲
China has established
建交国
with
实
all
现了
African
战略
countries
伙
having
伴关系
diplomatic
的
relations with
全覆
China
盖。
strategic
中非
partnerships.
友好的基础是中国
Solid
同
bilateral
每一
relations
个
with each
非洲
African
国
country
家的
is the
牢固的
foundation of
双边
China-Africa
关系。
friendship.
峰会期间，
During the summit,
习近平主席同所
President
有与
Xi
会元首
Jinping
和重要的
is meeting
政府
with
首脑
all heads of state and some heads of government
就
bilaterally
重大
to have
战略性
in-depth
问题
communication
进行
on major
深入
strategic
沟通。
issues.
中共中央政治局
All the
全体
other
常委
members of the
同志
Standing Committee of the
和国
Political
家副主
Bureau of the
席
CPC Central
也
Committee
密集
and
会
the
见
Chinese Vice President
与会的非
are
方
also
各国
meeting
领导人。
with African leaders.
峰会期间，中方总共同30
Before and after the summit,
建立
China established
提升
or
战
elevated
略伙伴
its
关系
strategic partnerships with 30
中国
countries.
和53个非洲战略伙伴
China and
并肩站在一
53
起
strategic partners in
必
Africa
将为
standing side by
中
side
非人民的福
will
祉
surely play
维
a
护
bigger role
世界的
in
和平
improving the
稳定
well-being of the
发挥
Chinese and
更大的
African
作用。
people and safeguarding world peace and stability.
二是中国与非洲的整体关
Second,
系
the overall characterization of China-Africa relations has been elevated to an all-weather China-Africa community with a shared future for the new era. As President Xi Jinping noted, the friendship between China and Africa transcends time and space, surmounts mountains and oceans, and passes down through generations. Thanks to nearly 70 years of tireless efforts from both sides, the China-Africa relationship is now at its best in history. During the summit, Chinese and African leaders agreed to upgrade China-Africa relations to an all-weather China-Africa community with a shared future for the new era. From a new type of partnership to a comprehensive strategic and cooperative partnership, and to an all-weather community with a shared future for the new era. The China-Africa relationship continues to reach new heights with clearer characterization and greater substance. The process demonstrates the firm resolve of the over 2.8 billion people of China and Africa to share weal and woe and march forward hand in hand amid unprecedented changes of the world, and opens a new chapter in the cause of building a community with a shared future for mankind. Third, a six-point proposition was articulated on China and Africa's joint efforts to advance modernization. Modernization is an inalienable, legitimate right of developing countries. How to realize modernization and what kind of modernization to advance are questions of historical significance facing the global South. President Xi Jinping outlined a six-point proposition on China and Africa's joint endeavor to advance modernization, underscoring the importance to advance modernization that is just and equitable, that is open and win-win, that puts the people first, that features diversity and inclusiveness, that is eco-friendly, and that is underpinned by peace and security. The six-point proposition is well received by African leaders attending the summit and has become a political consensus between the two sides. It marks our ever-deepening understanding of the rules of modernization and ever-growing consciousness to keep our destinies in our own hands. It will have a profound, far-reaching impact on spearheading modernization of the global South and advancing global modernization. Fourth, a blueprint is drawn for China-Africa cooperation in the next phase. The two sides adopted the Beijing Declaration and the Beijing Action Plan, both aiming at strengthening China-Africa cooperation over the next 3 years. President Xi Jinping announced that in the next 3 years, China will work with Africa to take 10 partnership actions for modernization. They are, first, the partnership action for mutual learning among civilizations. We will develop a platform for governance experience sharing, build a China-Africa knowledge network for development, and invite 1,000 members of African political parties to China for exchanges. Second, the partnership action for trade prosperity. China has announced that it will unilaterally open its market wider. We will give all African LDCs zero tariff treatment for 100% tariff lines and turn China's big market into Africa's big opportunity. Third, the partnership action for industrial chain cooperation. We will develop the pilot zone for in-depth China-Africa economic and trade cooperation and launch an African SMEs empowerment program. Fourth, and build a China-Africa Digital Innovation Center. Fourth, the partnership action for connectivity. We will put in place a China-Africa network featuring land-sea links and coordinated development to boost trans-regional development in Africa. Fifth, the partnership action for development cooperation. We will implement 1,000 small and beautiful livelihood projects to bring more benefits of development cooperation to the African people. Sixth, the partnership action for health. We will establish a China-Africa joint medical centers, send 2,000 medical personnel to Africa, and support the development of the Africa CDC. Seventh, the partnership action for agriculture and livelihoods. We will provide Africa with emergency food assistance, build standardized agriculture demonstration areas in Africa, and help create at least 1 million jobs for Africa. Eighth, the partnership action for people-to-people exchanges. we will implement the Future of Africa Vocational Education Cooperation Plan and provide 60,000 training opportunities to Africa. The two sides have designated 2026 as the China-Africa Year of People-to-People exchanges. Ninth, the Partnership Action for Green Development. We will launch 30 clean energy projects in Africa, establish 30 joint laboratories, and collaborate on satellite remote sensing and lunar and deep space exploration. 10th, the Partnership Action for Common Security. We will work together to turn China's cooperation with Africa on the Global Security Initiative into a fine example of GSI cooperation and train military and police officers for Africa. I also wish to highlight that this is the first summit under which 4 high-level meetings were convened. On the high-level meeting on state governance, the participants spoke highly of the third plenary session of the 20th CPC Central Committee and shared the view that China and Africa should strengthen mutual learning and explore development paths suited to their national conditions. The high-level meeting on industrialization and agricultural modernization discussed how to leverage their respective strength to accelerate their common development and green development. The high-level meeting on peace and security came up with instrumental insights on promoting regional and global peace and stability. On the high-level meeting on high-quality Belt and Road cooperation, discussed how to inject new impetus to the hard connectivity, soft connectivity, and people-to-people connectivity between China and Africa. During the summit, the two sides also engaged in strategic communication on the international situation and global governance. Both sides agreed to firmly support each other on issues that bear on our respective core interests and are of major concerns to us, protect the legitimate rights and interests of developing countries, and advance international fairness and justice. Both sides agreed to jointly practice true multilateralism, implement the Global Development Initiative, the Global Security Initiative, and the Global Civilization Initiative, and call for an equal and orderly multipolar world and a universally beneficial and inclusive economic globalization. Both sides agreed to work together to tear down small yards with high fences, reject discrimination and prejudice, redress historical injustices, and pursue a path to modernization that brings benefits to all. All in all, this summit has sent out a powerful message of China and Africa working together toward common development and has attested to the unshakable confidence in unity and cooperation among the global South. The China-Africa Summit Week is truly a global South moment that contributes to a community with a shared future for mankind. The Conference of Chinese and African Entrepreneurs will be held tomorrow morning. The conference will serve as an important platform for China-Africa business matchmaking and cooperation. It will add more vitality to the practical cooperation between China and Africa. I wish to express my sincere appreciation to all participants for your active contributions to a successful summit, and I thank Senegal for its outstanding work as African co-chair of the forum. And my congratulations to the Republic of the Congo for taking over as the next African co-chair. Last but not least, my thanks also go to friends from the media. It is your hard work that has swiftly conveyed the positive energy of China-Africa friendship to the whole world. I count on your continued interest in and support for the development of China-Africa relations. Thank you. Thank you, Minister Wang Yi. I now give the floor to Foreign Minister Yacine Fall.
Merci beaucoup. Permettez-moi, au nom du président de la République du Sénégal, Son Excellence Bassirou Diomaye Diakhar Faye,
Thank you very much.
d'adresser mes chaleureuses félicitations
On behalf of President Faye of Senegal, please allow me to extend my warmest congratulations to His Excellency President Xi Jinping, as well as to all Chinese departments and authorities for successfully organizing this summit. I would also like to commend the leadership of President Xi Jinping and the commitment that he continually demonstrates for Africa. Last year, in October, during the high-level dialogue, between China and African countries, President Xi launched 3 initiatives, namely the industrialization of Africa to increase the volume of intra-Africa trade and also to balance trade with China, the modernization of agriculture in Africa to contribute to ensuring the food sovereignty of the continent, as well as the development of African talents through training and capacity building. I also would like to recall the 9 programs launched during the 8th Ministerial Conference in Dakar by President Xi. The progress of implementation is satisfying. I take this opportunity to express my fraternal thanks to Foreign Minister Wang Yi for his generous efforts which have contributed to making the China-Africa partnership a unique model of South-South cooperation. I also thank all African member countries of FOCAC for their trust and fruitful collaboration, and to China, whose trust and valuable support we have appreciated during the past few years during our mandate. I also extend my warm congratulations to the Republic of the Congo, who assume the co-chairmanship of FOCAC. I wish them full success. Thank you. I thank Minister Val. I give the floor to Minister of the Congo.
Monsieur le ministre des Affaires étrangères de la République populaire de Chine, cher Wang Yi, Madame la ministre sénégalaise
Your Excellency Wang Yi, Minister of the Foreign Affairs of the People's Republic of China, Your Excellency Yassin Fall, Minister of African Integration and Foreign Affairs, ladies and gentlemen, friends of the press, I believe it is evident to all that the cooperation between China and Africa is an exceptional case in the history of modern times. These relations have certainly taken an extraordinary path.
Remarquable et apporte aux populations chinoises et africaines des bénéfices tangibles et qui ont progressivement changé leur niveau de vie.
By extending a brotherly hand to Africa for about 20 years now, China has helped to accelerate the anchoring of our continent in modernity to the memory of Africans. Unless I'm mistaken, never before has there been so much prosperous, exemplary, and promising economic and commercial cooperation between foreigners and our continent. I'm quite sure that the chroniclers of our time, witnesses and reporters of events will engrave this spectacular evolution in the marble of history.
Le continent qui est le nôtre n'avait été aussi prospère, aussi exemplaire, aussi prometteur.
And our cooperation has always been prosperous, exemplary, and promising.
Les chroniqueurs de notre époque, témoins et rapporteurs des événements que nous vivons aujourd'hui, graveront cette évolution spectaculaire
a spectacular journey will forever go down in history.
Et vous savez que cela concerne quasiment tous les domaines et tous les pays.
China-Africa cooperation covers almost all areas and all African countries. They cover the areas of construction of basic infrastructure, modernization of airports, development of river ports, paving of roads and highways, construction of hydroelectric dams, construction of telecommunications networks, establishment of higher education institutions, installation of social housing, popularization of new information and communication technologies, improvement of public health services, water supply in rural areas, not to mention other important areas. Your Excellency, Foreign Minister Wang Yi, cultural and people-to-people exchanges over the past 20 years have added to people-to-people affinity between China and African countries. In the Republic of the Congo, for example, many young Congolese people speak Mandarin fluently, which they learned at the Confucius Institute or here at Chinese universities. Many Chinese people also speak Lingala, which is lingua franca in Congo,
En résumé,
and
nous
also
pouvons dire que
the
les
famous
travaux de ce
language
9e
used for
FOCAC,
Rumba.
notre ami Wang l'a dit tout à l'heure, se sont inscrits dans la
The
continuité
2024 Beijing Summit of FOCAC has been one that builds on past
où la
achievements.
coopération mutuellement bénéfique et la solidarité agissante constituent
It is a
véritablement la pierre
continuity
angulaire de
of
la
China and
relation
Africa's
entre
commitment,
l'Afrique et la
where
Chine.
mutually beneficial cooperation and proactive solidarity
projet,
constitute the
la ceinture et
cornerstone
la
of the
route,
relationship.
dont nous avons célébré les 10 ans l'année dernière.
Thanks to the
De
Belt and
nouveaux
Road
programmes
Initiative,
de développement industriel,
which
de
is in its
modernisation
10th year,
de l'agriculture,
new
de
transport
construction des
and
infrastructures de
communication
transport,
infrastructure
de
projects
communication, tous
will be
azimuts
implemented
seront mis en œuvre pour mieux intégrer, pour mieux connecter
This will
l'Afrique
further help integrate
au vaste
Africa
réseau commercial
and help
mondial,
it realize connectivity.
mais aussi à elle-même
It will be integrated
passer cette
into the
ceinture
vast commercial
d'un
network
pays à un
of the
autre.
world.
Sur le plan international. Le FOCAC est évidemment
It will
au
serve as a
diapason
bond
des pulsations
to
de
connect
notre
all
monde.
countries of the world.
À ce propos, je dois dire qu'en venant
FOCAC is also
participer à cette
staying
9e
ahead of the
édition,
curve
ici à
of the trend of
Beijing,
times.
nous avions aussi à l'esprit l'idée de
It is our
contribuer,
honor to be here in Beijing for
tant soit
this
peu, à
ongoing
transformer
summit.
positivement l'ordre juridique international.
We hope that by coming here, we
Nous voulons
will,
apporter
in our own way,
une
contribute
sorte de
to a more positive development
réparatrice
in the international
à
order.
l'édifice, à notre édifice commun. Un
We want to
édifice
bring
que
a kind of
certains
reparatory
acteurs
stone
de la
to a
scène
building
internationale
that some
s'ingénient
international actors
obstinément à fissurer, à fragiliser, sans égard pour la justice entre les peuples et pour la paix dans le monde.
without
Et ce,
regard for
bien
justice
souvent au nom
and
de
fairness
leurs
of the
intérêts
world,
égoïstes. Pour terminer, chers amis,
and out
je
of their
voudrais
own
exprimer
selfish
la
interests,
profonde
are stubbornly
amitié
trying to crack and
et la très
weaken.
haute estime que la République du Congo et son président,
To conclude, I would like to express the deep friendship and high regard of the Republic of the Congo and its president, His Excellency Mr. Denis Sassou Nguesso, for President Xi Jinping.
pour son leadership visionnaire, lequel a permis en un temps record
It is under the visionary leadership of President Xi Jinping
prospère
that
en une puissance
China
planétaire.
has been able to transform itself
En effet, sous
in
cette
record time
direction,
into a prosperous
et
nation.
cela a été abondamment
in this
évoqué
world.
ce matin par nos chefs d'État, la Chine a connu non seulement un développement,
Under his leadership, as has been
spectaculaire,
abundantly said by our heads
mais
of state
aussi
this morning,
une amélioration
China has
fulgurante
not
de son
only
niveau de
realized
vie.
spectacular
Sous
economic
le président
development,
Xi, la Chine a
it has
aussi,
also
et c'est là tout le fondement de ce
drastically
forum,
improved the standard of
et
living
tout
for its
l'intérêt
people.
que nous lui apportons, la Chine a pris l'option de renforcer, comme jamais auparavant, sa coopération
It is
économique
also
avec
under
l'Afrique,
his leadership
dont elle est
that
devenue
China has
finalement
chosen
le premier
to strengthen
partenaire
its economic
commercial.
cooperation with
Pouvant
with
ainsi
Africa like
avoir
never
à
before.
une coopération
This is the
solide
cornerstone of our
et
relationship,
mutuellement avantageuse que l'on
and
a
this has
l'habitude
turned
de
China into our number one
labelliser
partner.
par la formule gagnant,
Such mutually
gagnant,
beneficial
win-win.
cooperation is what we call the
Les
win-win
annonces faites
formula.
par le président Xi Jinping ce matin sont en tout cas là pour attester de sa volonté d'aller plus loin avec l'Afrique, de pérenniser cette
The series
orientation
of commitments
stratégique.
made by President Xi Jinping speaks to the fact
Merci infiniment pour la
that
confiance faite à
China is committed to
Notre
strengthening
pays, la
its
République du
strategic
Congo.
partnership with Africa.
Mais je voudrais profiter de l'occasion pour saluer
I would like to
également les
thank
efforts
everyone
louables,
for the trust
les
that you have
initiatives
placed in the Republic of the Congo.
et les réalisations
Please also allow me to take this
de la
opportunity
présidence sénégalaise
to
du
express
FOCAC
our
nous
gratitude
passe de
to
témoin
the
aujourd'hui,
Senegalese
après
co-presidency
avoir
of
ouvert la
FOCAC,
voie à de nouvelles
its positive
perspectives
initiatives
dans ce
and also
précieux
remarkable achievements.
partenariat sino-africain.
Today, they will pass the baton
C'est ici le lieu
to us.
de rendre hommage aux autorités sénégalaises d'hier et d'aujourd'hui. À Madame
Taking
la
this
ministre,
opportunity, I would
ici
like to pay
présente,
tribute to the
ministre
Senegalese
de l'Intégration
government,
africaine et des Affaires étrangères, ma sœur Yacine Fall.
and also to my sister, Madame Foreign Minister Fall. Starting from this very evening, the Republic of the Congo promises to stay committed with the same determination, with the same tenacity, and with the same dedication to this same cause, to achieve our common goal of development to the benefit of our peoples. In the coming 3 years, we will continue to work to our utmost capacity for the development of the two sides and for the China-Africa friendship.
Surtout en 2027, nous vous attendrons à bras ouverts.
The Republic of the Congo commits to work tirelessly from this very day. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Foreign Minister. Now we will begin the Q&A session. We will first give the floor to a Senegalese journalist for questions.
Bonsoir, ni hao. Je m'appelle Souleymane.
Good evening.
Je suis journaliste au quotidien national Le Soleil. Le Sénégal a co-présidé
I'm with
le
the
forum de coopération
Sunshine Daily
Chine-Afrique
of Senegal.
pendant 6 ans.
In the past 6
De
years,
2018
Senegal
à
has been the African
2024
culture of
à
FOCAC
aujourd'hui.
that
Avec
began
la Chine,
from
il a déployé des efforts
2018
importants
and ended in
pour
2024.
assurer
You worked with China
le suivi des actions. Aujourd'hui,
to ensure the
le
delivery
Congo
of the
a pris le
outcomes of
relais.
FOCAC
Madame la
and
ministre
did a lot of hard
de
work.
l'intégration africaine et des
Just
et
now,
des affaires étrangères.
The Republic of the
Première
Congo
comment
took
évaluez-vous
over the baton.
la mise en
My
œuvre
question is,
des
Madam Foreign Minister, how do you
de la 8e conférence ministérielle du FOCAC? Je vous remercie.
assess the implementation of the outcomes of the 8th
Pour
Ministerial
répondre à votre
Conference?
question, il convient de souligner que depuis la tenue de la 8e
Thank you for your
conférence
question.
ministérielle du FOCAC et l'adoption du
I wish
plan
to stress
d'action
that
de
since
Dakar
the
en
8th
2021,
Ministerial Conference
beaucoup
of
de
the
réalisations ont été
Forum
faites autour de la mise en œuvre
adopted
de
the
9 programmes.
Dakar
En effet,
Action Plan.
il est aisé de constater la
Huge progress has
contribution
been made in
concrète du FOCAC
implementing the 9
à la transformation économique et
programs.
sociale de l'Afrique à travers la mise en œuvre de projets d'infrastructures, de services
through
dans les
our
domaines
cooperation in
agricoles,
agriculture,
industriels,
industry, energy,
dans les domaines de la
health,
santé, de la
and
formation
personnel
des
training,
parents,
as well as
de la
peace
paix et
and
de la
security.
Sur le commerce, de 120 milliards en
It is easy to
2018,
see that Forum
le
has
volume du commerce
made
sino-africain
concrete
est passé
contribution
à
to
282
our
milliards
social
de
and
dollars
economic transformation.
en
On trade,
2022.
our trade
Il est
volume
prévu qu'il
grew
atteigne la
from
barre de 300 milliards de dollars
grew
à
to
l'horizon 2020.
280 billion US dollars
De
by
plus, pour mieux équilibrer la
2025.
balance
It is
commerciale,
expected to
la
reach
partie chinoise s'est
the
engagée à
$300 billion
augmenter les
mark.
capacités d'exportation
Furthermore, to
de
better
l'Afrique
balance trade,
et
the
de
Chinese
faciliter
side
les
has
mesures
committed to
d'inspection
increasing
et de
Africa's
quarantaine
export
des produits
capacity
africains exportés en Chine.
and facilitating inspection and
sens,
quarantine
le
measures for
mécanisme
African
d'admission des
products
produits
exported
africains en
to
Chine
China.
et l'application de l'exemption douanière
In this
à hauteur de
regard, the mechanism for
98%
admitting African
en
products
faveur
to
des pays
China
africains
and
placés
the implementation
dans la
of
catégorie
a
des pays moins avancés
98%
est en cours de mise en œuvre.
tariff
L'annonce du
treatment
président
for
Xi
African
Jinping
countries
consistant
classified
à
as
amener
LDCs
ce
is
taux à
being
100%
implemented.
ouvre de
President Xi
nouvelles
Jinping's
perspectives.
announcement to
Concernant la
increase this
coopération
rate
dans
to
le domaine de
100%
l'agriculture
opens up
et la
real
réduction de la
prospects
pauvreté,
for
je
cooperation.
voudrais magnifier
Regarding
la
cooperation in the field
priorisation
of
de ce secteur
agriculture
dans
and
le
poverty
programme de
reduction,
développement
I would
sino-africain
like to highlight the
défini lors du
prioritization of
deuxième
this
forum
sector
de coopération Chine-Afrique relative à l'agriculture, tenu en 2023 à Hainan. Elle a été suivie par
in
l'adoption
the
du
Sino-African
plan de
Development
développement de
Program
l'agriculture en Afrique,
defined during the
dont la
second China-Africa
finalité
Cooperation
est de
Forum
contribuer à la
on
modernisation
Agriculture
de
held in
l'agriculture
2023 in Hainan.
Ce
It was
plan
followed by the
vise
adoption
également
of the
à créer des
African
joint
Agriculture
ventures
Development
entre les
Plan,
secteurs
whose
privés
purpose is to
africains et
contribute
chinois
to the modernization of
pour créer
African
des industries
agriculture.
transformatrices
This plan also
à
aims to
haute
create
valeur
joint
ajoutée
ventures
en
between
Afrique.
African and Chinese private sectors to
Concernant le
create
secteur
high
industriel,
value-added
il faut
transformative
souligner
industries in
le
Africa.
lancement de l'initiative de soutien
As
à
for the industrial
l'industrialisation de
sector,
l'Afrique,
It should be noted the launch of the initiative to support the industrialization of Africa, taking into account the Programme for Infrastructure Development in Africa, or PIDA, and the African Continental Free Trade Area. In addition, a special fund of $10 billion has been established to support African financial institutions in favor of financing African SMEs. This momentum will be further strengthened by the implementation of the 30 infrastructure interconnection projects in Africa that will be carried out within the framework of the Belt and Road Initiative. As for health, the construction and delivery of the Disease Prevention and Control Center by China in January 2023 is a great achievement, which, combined with the operationalization of the African Medicines Agency, will enhance Africa's capabilities in public health. In this context, the technical partnership launched with the United Nations, Beijing, for the development of a local pharmaceutical industry in Africa through co-investments between Chinese and African private sectors is a source of hope. This action has become an absolute urgency in Africa in light of the lessons learned from the COVID-19 pandemic. This is why the Senegalese side proposed the holding of the second China-Africa Health Cooperation Forum. On another note, it should be noted the holding during the 16th meeting of senior officials of FOCAC of the seminar between Chinese financial institutions, including Exim Bank, the China Development Bank, the Bank of China, ICBC, the Agricultural Bank, etc. This activity, facilitated by the Chinese Ministry of Commerce, allowed African senior officials of FOCAC and the group of African ambassadors to better understand the issues related to the financing of Africa's development, including concessional loans, non-concessional loans, commercial loans, and grants. As for sustainable development, including energy transition and climate change, the Dakar Declaration on China-Africa Cooperation lays the foundation for taking into account the particular vulnerability of certain countries to climate change. In this way, development projects using high-resolution Chinese technologies have been identified to help prevent natural disasters, protect marine resources, combat illegal fishing, protect coastal areas, and promote renewable energies. Finally, on the crucial subject of peace and security in Africa, China has not been idle. As you know, China is the second largest financier of UN peacekeeping operations. Similarly, China provides substantial support to the African Union's peace and security architecture based on an unwavering commitment to the principle of solving African problems in the African way. In addition, discussions have been initiated for the creation of an academy for peacekeeping and combating terrorism and cybercrime in Africa with the assistance of China, in order to strengthen the capabilities of African armies. In this regard, the United Nations Special Fund for Peace and Development, established in 2016 and China's initiative, which is committed to paying $200 million over 10 years, could be further redirected toward African priorities in peacekeeping operations, combating terrorism, and post-conflict peace consolidation. Obviously, these tangible results will be multiplied by 10 partnership actions for modernization that the Chinese side has kindly undertaken within the framework of the new action plan. These actions will be implemented with the financial support of the Chinese government of 360 billion yuan over the next 3 years, including 70 billion yuan in investment from Chinese companies. As you can see, there is much progress to highlight, and these are concrete steps to boost economic and social development of Africa. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Foreign Minister. I now give the floor to a Congolese journalist to raise a question to the Foreign Minister of the Republic of the Congo.
Merci, Excellence, Monsieur le Ministre.
Thank you, ministers.
réalisateur, reporter à la télévision nationale congolaise.
I'm from the national television of the Republic of the Congo. I'm a journalist and also an editor. My question is for the Foreign Minister of the Republic of the Congo. Now that the Republic of the Congo has become the new co-chair of FOCAC, and also given the fact that this is the 60th anniversary of diplomatic relations between China and your country, what will the Republic of the Congo, as the new co-chair of FOCAC, follow through on the outcomes from this very summit, given the special importance of this year? And my question, another question for you is, how will your country ensure more momentum to the forum mechanism for the benefit of African people?
Merci infiniment, cher ami.
Thank you very much, our journalist friend, for your question.
Dans la position qui est la mienne, je devrais plutôt faire preuve d'humilité.
It is my view that I should be more humble given my capacity as the new co-chair of FOCAC.
Sur une tabula rasa, une terra incognita, du bon travail a été fait avant que nous ne reprenions le flambeau.
I think we shouldn't brag too much or boast too much about what we wish to achieve before accomplishing anything. The FOCAC mechanism entails a lot of work for the new co-chair, and we have to plan ahead.
Sud-africaines, les équipes sénégalaises qui ont travaillé toutes ces années durant.
So, of course, I would like to first pay tribute to the successive Chinese teams, the South African and Senegalese teams, who have worked tirelessly for many years to implement the outcomes from previous FOCAC sessions.
Allie rationalité et générosité chinoise avec
the mechanism of FOCAC combines both the rigor and rationality of China and also the creativity and strong desire of Africa for development. So what we need to do is simple, that is to work with the same passion so that more will come out of Senegalese efforts and also out of this forum. As I said, we will strive to get things done on the ground and to make work under this forum the second faith of our country without meaning to offend anyone. Africa is a land of abundant opportunities. China has made selfless assistance to the land of Africa without any selfish-driven aims. As the new co-chair of FOCAC, I do not wish to go on and on like candidates in campaign sessions. Instead, I wish to be humble. So I would like to say that we will get things done starting from this very night. How about a female journalist?
Thank you. With CMG, my question goes to Foreign Minister Wang. FOCAC has been established for 2 decades. Fruitful benefits have been delivered. Many other countries are also convening forums or summits with African countries. How does China see this?
中非合作论坛成立24年来
FOCAC, since its founding 24 years ago, has enabled us to work together to improve the livelihoods of African people, advance the development of the continent. According to available statistics, as a result of China-Africa cooperation, around 100,000 kilometers of roads, over 10,000 kilometers of railroads, around 1,000 bridges and 100 ports have been built or upgraded. China has sent medical teams to almost all African countries. These teams have given around 230 million times of treatment to people on the continent. Over the past 3 years, Chinese companies has helped create 1.1 million job opportunities for Africa. Other livelihood projects, including those on food, water, supply, and education, are delivering benefits to all African people. These gains are made possible by the joint efforts of Chinese workers, doctors, teachers, and volunteers alongside our African brothers and sisters by working diligently on the continent in all kinds of conditions. Other countries are now turning their attention toward Africa. They have signaled their intention to pay more attention to Africa. As Africa's good friend, China is happy for that. We also welcome more countries for their support and assistance to Africa. Progress of Africa is essential in human progress. Without Africa's modernization, there will be no modernization for the world. China will continue providing all-round support to African countries to deliver modernization. China's cooperation with Africa reflects a fundamental philosophy that guides the Communist Party of China and also demonstrates the commitment of the Chinese people to internationalism. It was pointed out in the 20th Party Congress report that the CPC is dedicated to pursuing happiness for the Chinese people, rejuvenation of the Chinese nation, to human progress, and to world harmony. China's support for Africa does not begin today. Even when we were struggling to make ends meet, we tightened our purse strings for ourselves in order to help Africa. You might be familiar with the story of Tazara Railway. Over 50,000 Chinese engineers went to Africa for construction, and 69 of them gave their lives to this undertaking. Yesterday, China, alongside Tanzania and Zambia, signed an agreement to revitalize the Tazara Railway. This is not only the way we pay tribute to our forefathers, it is also our commitment to make this railway of friendship to be re-energized in the new era. China-Africa friendship has been forged in our shared fight for national independence and liberation, and such friendship grows over the course of common development. Since the beginning of the new era, President Xi laid out the principles of sincerity, real results, affinity, and good faith, which is the guideline China follows in enhancing China-Africa friendship. Such assistance and support is mutual. We will never forget that it is our African brothers and sisters that enable the restoration of the PRC's seat in the UN. It is the African brothers and sisters that have defended China's legitimate interest on the global stage, and it is our brothers and sisters in Africa that have offered valuable support for China's opening and development. Our mutually beneficial cooperation enjoys endogenous drivers, and it is a historical inevitability. FOCAC is a signboard of China-Africa cooperation, and a stellar example of South-South cooperation, and more importantly, a bright light that shines the way forward for China, for international cooperation with Africa. Over time, China has come up with its unique characteristics in its cooperation with Africa. There are a number of principles. First, we do not interfere with Africa's internal affairs. Our support is sincere and no political conditions are attached. Second, we work to meet the needs of Africa. We focus both on infrastructure projects, which will help drive overall development. At the same time, we focus on small and beautiful livelihood projects to help Africa enhance its ability for self-driven development and translate its demographic dividend into drivers of development and better livelihoods. Third, we do not pursue rivalry. We oppose creation of bloc confrontation on the continent, and we also oppose pursuit of selfish interests. We will work under the principle of sincerity of real results, affinity, and good faith, as proposed by President Xi. In our collaboration with Africa, this summit will be our opportunity to work hand in hand for modernization and build an all-weather China-Africa community with a shared future for the new era. Regarding international cooperation with Africa, we would like to call for the following few points. First, uphold justice. Modernization is not a prerogative of a few. African countries are also entitled to the right of development. Considering that African countries once fell victim to colonial exploitation, developed countries must shoulder their responsibilities and strengthen North-South cooperation and scale up investment in driving Africa's development. At the same time, we will continue pursuing South-South cooperation and build greater synergy for this. Second, uphold equality. We must factor in the concerns of African countries and respect their right to find development path of their own. Any condescending approach or attempts to dictate terms must be rejected. Third, results-oriented cooperation. We must match our words with actions. We must deliver tangible benefits for African people through our concrete cooperation. Thank you very much.
谢谢王毅外长。由于时间的关系呢，今天的记者会到此结束。谢谢三位外长，谢谢记者朋友们。晚安。
Thank you, ministers. Thank you, friends from the media.